Right, well, I decided to take a little bit of a film in the hope of catching some of the twilight colours on my walk. I'm on a walk, ladies and gentlemen. This is Krakowska, up above it's Goriecka. Now it's already Krakowska because it's the road leading out. There's Jakuba. Looks like some kind of a hotel or something. There's a TV going in there. Looks nice, but you can't see into it. Noclegi Okęcie, obviously it's some kind of a place you can stay the night as well, probably cheap and near to the airport. Not very big though, so I wouldn't try and book a big group in there. I wanted to get the look of the sky on this, which is very interesting. You can see as well planes taking off from the airport, which it says there to the left. I'm walking to Obi. I need to get something a bit heavy actually, so on the way back I'll have to use the tram coming back. But that will be about 1 kilometre walking back and 5 kilometres walking there, because that's what I need to do. I need to do at least 6 per day. And so far this month, which is October 2012, I did an average of 6, because I usually work out, in order to keep an easy total in my head, I kind of work out what the average is for those days, or the total so far. So up until yesterday, which was the 5th, I'd done 25, which is an average of 5 per day. It had all gone well. My average was 6 per day until yesterday, then I only did 1 that day, bringing it up to 25 from 24 over 4 days was 6. Add on 1, you've got 25 over 5 days, that drops your average down to 5. But yesterday I had a lot of meetings and things, and it was the end of a long working week, and I just didn't feel like adding a big walk onto the end of it. I had to use the car all day from meeting to meeting. So today I have to make up a little bit if I want to get back up to an average of 6 again. Then I have to obviously do yesterday's missing 5 plus another 6 for today. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but I will try and do at least the 6 for today that are necessary. Maybe it'll be other days when I can go over 6, but as long as I don't do too many of them that are under 6, then I will beat my desired record for the month. I mean, October has 31 days in it, and I need to do over 170 kilometres to beat my record so far of walking per month. So I make this the best in the year. In fact, in the year and 2/3 in which I've been using my pedometer, it would be then the best. This nice looking hotel with the shifting lights, illuminations here on the rather looks out of place next to buildings like this one, but it looks rather grand anyway, with a nice new, I don't know what architecture you'd call that, but it looks very much like the sort of thing you see in like Brighton or something in England, that architecture, and it's called Hotel Lord. It's a little bit like Regent's Park, the sorts of things you see near Regent's Park. And it's called Hotel Lord, just to give a bit more emphasis to that whole image. So you might think of this as a posh area, although what's around it isn't all that posh, I have to say. This is a nice looking house here, with a quite high fence around it to keep undesirables out. What kind of undesirables you might find around here I know not, although I do have an idea of one particular type of undesirable that there might be around here, because I know that not very far down, we're about to come to it on the left here, is a house of ill repute, and that's this one here, just coming up after this. That's a house of ill repute, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't go wandering in there. It's called Oasis, Oaza, but I don't think you'll find it an oasis of calm. It's one of those nightclubs that believe that night goes on 24 hours. So as you see, it says nightclub, but it's also saying 24 hours. So as I passed this, in order not to get anybody's dander up, I'm pretending to use this like a telephone. I've got it off to the side a little bit and be talking into it by my ear. As you can see, nice modern trams out, two modern ones by the side of each other at the moment. Here on the other side there we've got McDonald's, so that gives you another idea of the kind of undesirables there might be in the area. Oh, looks as though I'm on the last bit of the... I'm already on red. Hopefully he doesn't accelerate and squash me or anything. Here, on that side of this is one of the nice big roads that leads to the airport. This guy wants to come around here, so I can't. Obviously I've got a red light, so I can't do much about that. Just got to let them go. But already the sky's got a good deal darker since I started talking. The camera's dealing with it, but it's not, you know, brilliant. Hotel on that side of the road, B&B hotels. I suppose that refers to the idea of bed and breakfast. There's nothing possible to come this way unless something did a sharp U-turn there, which is unlikely. So I may as well ignore the red light and just walk it. I believe in taking those things as guidance rather than as mandatory. I know that they are supposed to be mandatory, but I just don't like that level of government intervention in the lives of a free citizen. If a person can see there's nothing there, they should be able to walk, you know. That traffic light represents a government intervention. In fact, it represents government intervention by robot, which is something which can only go up. That's not going to decrease, that's only going to increase. It could be a way, I suppose, of making government intervention cheaper, but it'll also, because you don't have to have a person there telling you what to do, it's all done by proxy with robots doing it, but it's not going to increase freedom, because all it's going to mean is that the government does more invigilation and instruction to people, rather than simply says, okay, we'll give a moderate amount of invigilation and instruction and basically do it for cheaper, so you don't have to pay so much tax and can get on with building the economy. They'll never do that. This gentleman's waiting for me, thank you. I'll make a token effort to speed up my tracks in order not to create some kind of a slowdown in the entire economy. So over that side we've got Centrum Ogrodnicze with plants, and I do buy sometimes plants from there, but I haven't had such a great result. On the other side is a less highly advertised separate one that stays open longer, has, in my opinion, nicer stock, a bit cheaper, but I do object to what's going on that side of the road, because they got like live ducks and chickens and perliczki, what do you call them, guinea fowl, in very small cages there for sale, and they're not expensive, but I don't think they care who they sell them to or anything. So if you're interested in animal welfare, then that's not a place to support. It's a pity, because the plant stock is actually much better than any other place, in my opinion. Now, this guy was saying that he's coming in here, coming in very fast, and I had to move out of his way. But he did make an effort to circumvent me. This is a place where you've got lots of car dealerships. In fact, Citroën here, Citroën Polska, that's not just a dealership, that's also the head office of Citroën in Poland. I'd like to say a big shout out there to anyone who knows me in there, from the head office people. And Toyota, I don't think that's a head office of Toyota though, that's just a normal dealership of Toyota. I think that where the Toyota people are is somewhere else, where the Japanese gentlemen sit and make nice spreadsheets full of kanjis as well as full of numbers. They are in a slightly different place, and I have one of their spreadsheets full of kanjis and numbers, which is all very interesting as well, since we have done things for them. So basically it's a nice area it's a good area for car showrooms. We're already getting away from the sort of downgraded bit there where there was like a brothel and a McDonald's, and getting back into an area which is a bit more civilised, although of course it means that it's a bit of a long walk before you get from one thing to the next on this side of the road. On that side of the road, right here, things are a bit more interesting. Maybe I should have actually chosen that side to walk on, because here, on this side of the road, what you get is you're next to the airport. So, should I be filming? I don't know. I don't think you'll see enough detail in this light anyway to be able to use it if any of my viewers just happen to be jihadists. I should think that they probably regard my views on Christianity versus Islam with some distress, but if there should be any of you which are jihadists, then you won't find much out, I don't think, from my films. I do take care not to reveal anything that might be useful in that regard. So anyway, the airport is there. And one could, of course, go down that side of the road, but it's going to be a bit boring. All that I'll have there is a big hedge, which won't be illuminated. This is interesting, incidentally, just coming up here. That's a very Polish habit. If somebody gets killed on the roadside, they make like a roadside shrine. Those jars are burnt out candles that have been put there for that person. Their name isn't on there, just Tragicznia. I can read. Obviously there's a crossing here that hasn't been really observed, but it's an interesting warning not to trust the crossing too much, since obviously somebody did die trying to cross on it. So maybe I ought to wait until and see if people really do stop. Well, WE8870G didn't stop. WPR section doesn't stop. Worse is the bus not stopping. WX55710 didn't stop. So since these people are just used to not stopping, what can I do? I can't expect them to stop. I just got to stand here until they finally do stop, or there's a big enough lull in the traffic. This one's even a learner driver. He's trying to stop. This guy's come out from around him in order to overtake him. Is he going to stop? I suppose he is going to stop, but I can't kind of force him to. And now it's going on, so at least they start, in the end we've got some people behaving normally. The guy, obviously the learner's probably been taught to stop because he's got a tutor in there with him who wants to teach him to drive properly. Whether that person will still be doing that once he's got his licence and is let loose on the streets, so somebody with only one light, for example, is another matter. Crossing over because there's more going on this side. Again, it's largely car showrooms. As you see, I could stand here for a long time before anybody would let me cross the road, and I should read a few more of their numbers here. I'm going to waddle across, and hopefully they do brake a little bit. He barely braked. At least he didn't accelerate. I suppose I should be thankful for small mercies. I need a better winter coat. Mine is sort of like dark green, which is nice. I've got a dark green hat to go with it. Today it's not winter yet. It's a nice 18 degrees, it said on my house thermometer. I think that's right. Certainly it's what the Japanese call an akibare, which is a combination of two words. Aki obviously means autumn, and it is the autumn. It's already October the 6th, which definitely counts as autumn. And it's hare is the word for fine weather in Japanese, but if you put them together, then the I makes the H change to a B. Okay, for reasons best known to the Japanese, you don't say akihare, you say akibare. So like an Indian summer or fine weather in the autumn, or a period of fine weather in autumn, is referred to in Japanese as akibare. So that's what we seem to have at the moment. There was some rain, but it's warm. There's been some rain over the last few days, but it's been consistently quite warm. It could, in October, be around about, like 8, 9 or 10, and nobody would raise an eyebrow, but thankfully it's been more like 18 a lot of the time, which is what it is today, 18 degrees centigrade. So you've got Ford demo motors, you've got Mazda again there, and you've got Suzuki. If any of you need to know where the showrooms of cars are in Warsaw, this will give you an idea. On that side of the road, like I say, which I didn't take, would have been the airport, and you're looking over there, over the field. You can't really see it very well, but if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see the airport building there probably about a kilometre away on that side. And obviously you've got planes taking off, and there should be also planes landing, although they tend to land on the far side and take off on this side. It doesn't always work that way, but during most of the day you've got taking off going on this side and landing going through on that side. Although the other day when I landed from Prague, unusually landed just coming out over the Obi shop, which is where we're going down there. It's about, still I think, at least 1 kilometre away down there. So here, maybe I'm sitting back from the near part of where these things are a little bit in order to get a better view on camera of them. But you're starting to get, while there's nothing at all on that side whatsoever but the field with the runways on it, here, and of course they can't be high buildings, they can only be a couple of stories high. You've got, and as well you'll notice the low, at this point you'll notice low street lamps. Back there they were higher, here you've got lower street lamps, yeah? Which means actually they're also a little bit dimmer, because they don't have to, their light doesn't have to stretch so far. So this is mainly a furniture shop, but it's also got like haberdashery in dodatki pasmanteria. Yeah, pasmanteria is Polish for haberdashery. So if you don't know the word haberdashery in English, then don't worry too much, but you just always go and look it up. Basically means all things like bobbins and swatches and buttons and things like that. So there's Hotel Gordon. Gordon, if your name is Gordon, you can go there. Don't play a joke on them by ringing up and booking a room for Jilted John. Autominia means a car wash, probably by hand in that place. And there's a motel as opposed to a hotel. I still don't really know what the dividing line, or where the dividing line comes between a motel and a hotel. After all, there's a hotel and there's a motel, and they look pretty similar to me, and they're both on the same road. So if it's to do with being next to a main road, then that one should change its name to a motel, or this one should be a hotel. I don't know. I just don't know why one of them calls itself a motel and the other calls itself a hotel. Maybe it's because this also belongs to Subaru. Maybe it's a place where they put the Subaru people when they come over. So they want to call it a motel because they're supporting the motor industry. Maybe that's why they do it. I don't know. If anybody can tell me, if we got any HTL consultants watching, I befriended one on LinkedIn the other day. So if we got any HTL consultants watching, please tell me, what is the dividing line between a hotel and a motel? How much leeway do you have if you want to start up a hospitality business, in whether you call yourself a motel or a hotel. Is there any leeway? Or is there something where somebody comes along and says, well, you know, you've got this many parking spaces and you can be seen this far from the road, and so therefore we're going to call you a motel. And that's tough. If you wanted to call yourself a hotel, that's tough, you're a motel, or vice versa. Or is it just about the perception of the kind of clientele that you're going for? That if you want to get hold of the same kind of people that would be going in that bar and drinking Pepsi from 7 to 19, you might call yourself a motel, or have rooms let by the hour in case there's an overspill from that house we passed back there. Maybe that's what gets called a motel. And certainly these American films, I do like these American kind of road trip films that inevitably involve a very deserted road that's extremely flat and goes through a desert, and extremely empty, which is lovely because you could just drive and drive without other drivers getting in your way. But I don't believe these roads really exist. And you come up to these motels which have got the neon lights on the top, and you get your keys from the porter's lodge, and you walk in from the outside. You get a room which opens up onto the outside to a kind of corridor running through, which may just have a roof which is pretty much open to the air. We've all seen probably American films with things like that in, and some of us have stayed in them. I've stayed in some like that more in Germany than in America. I've stayed in something a bit like that in America, but more of them I stayed in Germany a bit like that. And you know, nearby there's some diner usually, and then you get these petrol stations which have got next to nothing going on, and the cars come up and there's like a store as well as the petrol station, and it's not really got any kind of recognisable chain like all of our ones do, although in America they do really as well. They just don't on the films. And there's usually some old married couple or some old geezer, and he's usually got a big firearm hidden behind the counter, but he usually doesn't get it on time. So now we're past the point where we have the airport runways on that side. You've got already the Institute of Lotnictva, the Institute of Aviation, which is that poxy little building there, and this Engineering Design Centre, which is a rather less poxy building next to it. I still want to stay on this side because I want to show you here Bao Long. That's a nice Vietnamese restaurant which I used to use in the past more than I do now because my wife doesn't like it as much as I do, but I'd still recommend that one if you're around here. Try it. This Hotel Witkowski is much newer, and I've never been inside it. I can't tell you anything about it. I've seen it a lot, but I've never actually walked into it. So as you can see, there's no shortage of hotels around this bit here, so they're all handy for the airport. So if you come from other parts of Poland and you want to take a flight from Warsaw, which is early, and you want to get a hotel nearby, then these hotels are the ones which will cater for your need. Has that really been 25 minutes nearly? I think that this is one of the ones which I shouldn't really put up as an HD, because it's a waste of bandwidth, because in the dark you're not going to get the benefit of it. And most of this has just been me talking, making various observations which you might have found interesting enough to keep listening to this point, or maybe not, in which case if you haven't, then you won't even hear me telling you what I think of your small concentration span. If you have, then thank you very much. Yeah, that's interesting. There's a De Grasso Pizzeria. Here we've got Mustafa Sklep Mięsny. There's a couple of businesses just down this bit which seem to me to be catering for they seem to be catering for the Turkish and Arabic fast food outlets. This seems to be more of a kind of meat shop, which is actually halal. It says Kasap Halal. It's actually a purveyor of halal meats for the growing population of Arabs and Turks. That brings us to an interesting topic, because Syria and Turkey seem to be on the brink of, well, they've already started some hostilities, but whether it goes to an outright ding-dong, it remains to be seen. But I just don't understand that, because I'll leave the topic of the halal meat because I think it's obvious. It's there. It's not the only one. I think there's another one coming up here, which is also halal place. But isn't it interesting that Syria gets away pretty much with firing rockets into a NATO country, and we're like doing nothing at the moment? I don't get that. Surely NATO kind of falls apart if a poxy little country like Syria can fire into Turkey, a fully paid up member of our alliance, on whom we would fully rely in the event of any kind of hostilities against, for example, Russia, which I hope never happens. But we'd have to rely on Turkey's very large and very fierce army. But when, don't get me wrong, I understand that Turkey can have Syria easily, okay? Turkey could probably have the entire Arabic world easily, okay? I know Turks, I know that they are tough, brave, and very patriotic. And I'm under no illusions that if Syria wants to attack, Turkey, that they've bitten off more than they can chew. Okay, the Persians as well are a tough bunch. I don't think that when we've had these dealings with the Iraqis before and the Syrians maybe now, that we're seeing, in the case of Arab warriors, anything like what you would see if the West were foolish enough to attack Persia, Iran. It would be a completely different story. And also, of course, Turkey is another thing. They're not Arabs. They are, they're Turks, and it wasn't for nothing that they came into the Arabic area and basically sliced a huge swathe through it and established their empire over it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You don't muck about with Turkey, and so at the end of the day, there's Obi, what we see over there, which means I'm going to start crossing the road, crossing through the tram terminus, which is here, and going over to Obi. I suppose it's 7 o'clock. I hope I haven't left it too late to actually get what I wanted, because it is later than I thought. It felt like I was still earlier in the day, but when I set off, but obviously it's evening already. If not, well then at least I had a walk out of it, which is useful. Let me just get the thing up, and it's 4.5. Since I started, it'll be another half kilometre to get to Obi, so that's about 5 going down. Like I said, got another 1 kilometre getting from Obi to the tram, and then get off the tram and getting home. Will be another 1 kilometre coming back the other way. So that will be the 6 for today, which is about right. And like I talked about earlier, and that's the way to combat that, of course, plus diet, to combat if you're in a bit more fat and obese than most people that just say, oh, I need to go on a diet. but they've only got like 10 kilometres to get rid of. If you've got something like 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometres to get rid of, not kilometres, kilograms to get rid of, then you're not going to be running anywhere soon, like you would if you've only got 10 kilograms to get rid of. So you've got to do something else instead. Well, you should be able to walk. That's all you can do at the beginning, just walk. And you better walk yourself up to even these kind of levels of 5 or 6 kilometres a day gradually. You won't be able to do it on day one. And it takes time, and you need company. But I've discovered that I don't have to drag somebody with me on the walk, because I can already talk to my dear friends on YouTube just by having my camera with me. I can get it out at some point on the walk, and I've got the impression that I'm talking and you're listening. And that's not just an impression, it's something borne out by the fact that people really do comment below and talk about things which are not just from the beginning of the film, but even quite a long way into it. Things that I've walked past or things that I'm mentioning, they take me up on it in comments. Sometimes conversations get going, not always, sometimes nobody really bites anything, but you know, you can see from the views as well and from the other statistics on attention span, people actually want to listen. Well, people there, I can understand this, it's not interactive enough because you can't talk to me. You know, what would be really good is if I could walk along and actually have like a phone-in conversation going, where this would all be going real time, with people capping it in real time and then putting it up to Facebook real time, or this all be going up to something else real time, like that room that they have. Oh, I've forgotten what they call it, where some YouTubers do like rooms and people call in. But even in a traditional phone, where one person phones in at a time, and it's at least, you know, part of the interaction is now, yeah. But you can interact even with what I'm saying, because you can go to the comments below, you can see what other people have written and write something yourself. And after this 30-minute monologue, you can react and say whatever you like. And if there's not enough space here, then wait until it comes up, which it will do later, a lot later, on hooliganov.tv blog. And then there'll be unlimited space for commentary. So hopefully that will be something where the interactivity of it, although not immediate, is at least there. So here I'm at Obi. What do I think of Obi as a shop? Well, it's convenient. It's not fantastic, but it's not too expensive. It's convenient. I'll be able to get what I need, which is actually little balls of ceramics to put in the bottom of plant pots. I won't be able to get too much of it because I'll have to carry it back for a kilometre, so I won't be getting like 10 kilograms of it. I might get 5 kilograms. Why not? I might get 10 kilograms, you know, who knows. But then I might get something else as well. I've got to get some batteries for my wife. And that's, you know, at least I know I can get it here, as long as it's not shut already. It looks open. But plants, if you get plant stock here, well, I've had some pretty not fantastic plants here as well. But then again, it may not be the fault of the livestock, not the livestock, the plant stock. It might be the fact that my balcony just seems to be a plant killer as well. You know, all the things that go on there, the wind, the effects of Tanya, who loves to rip leaves off, and also the fact that various things get sprayed there at different times against this strawberry beetle that they say there is there. Maybe it's the beetle itself which causes some of the damage. Well, I haven't seen it. There's a beautiful, if you want to pay for this tree, of course, $3,399. Basically, that's more than $1,000 they're asking for this olive tree. It may seem like an awful lot, it certainly seems like a lot to me. Better if you can get an olive tree small and grow it yourself up to that, but that will take you some time, of course, but certainly a better investment than immediately paying all of that. They won't let me film in here, of course, so I'll say goodbye.